Hey, it's Doug Murtel with another tutorial. This time we're going to do something interesting. We're going to compare some of the big players here. We're going to compare ChatGPT with Bing, Claude, and Bard. Um, we're going to do, actually, this says three use cases, but I meant to say two. We're going to calculate my hours for an invoice and then organize my travel. So we're going to start with ChatGPT. We're going to go into Chat GPT 4, which is the subscription basis, and we're going to put in this little uh, prompt, which is I'm assigning it a role, a persona, and a task. So it's you are an accountant tasked with writing an invoice for my services. For this certain client, I charge $150 an hour for my consulting services for the first 6 hours. After 6 hours, I charge $50 an hour, except for staff meetings. For staff meetings, I charge $75 per hour. I've worked a total of 23 hours and 15 minutes. How much should I invoice the client? So we're giving it to ChatGPT, we're giving it to Bard, we're giving it to Claude, and we're giving it to Bing. So we're going to see what they come up with, and it's very interesting. So ChatGPT, you can see immediately, because I put in the custom instructions information about me, including my name and including what it is that I do, as a coach and a speaker, and I gave it a sample of my writing. It has come back with this very kind of, I found it kind of entertaining. It put a lot of personality in here. It's really kind of talking to me like a fun friend. But the thing, of course, in the end is the most important thing is the calculation. So it calculated, I think it's $1,782 for me to invoice the client. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. So then over at Bard went ahead and said it's $1,781, and it actually went ahead and made a little template for an invoice. So I thought, well, that was nice. That was a little extra credit, but why are the numbers different? This whole exercise is a very interesting one to take a look at. How much can you trust these language models right now? And so we go over to Claude, and Claude did the same thing as the other two. It broke it down and explained exactly how it came up with the number that it came up with. However, it did something that the other two did not do, actually, and Bing didn't do this as well. It noted the fact that I never told it how much of my hours were in staff meetings. So Claude was the only one smart enough to catch that. So I thought, okay, well, that's very interesting. That is very important when we're using AI. We need the AI to be looking out for mistakes that we make. So I said, thanks for showing that I didn't mention my staff meeting time. And then I just told it that there were 2 hours, and I went ahead and copied that last little bit because I realized I'm going to go ahead and correct the other ones. But let's take a look at what Bing had to say. Bing is interesting. It was the only one that didn't do it while I was in another browser window. It waited for me to be present. Now, Bing uses ChatGPT matched with its search engine, and it came up with a whole different invoice amount. So now I'm going to go back to ChatGPT, and I'm going to let ChatGPT know that I worked for 2 hours in a meeting. I'm going to let Bard, which uses Lambda, Google's AI. I'm going to let Bard know, and I'm going to use let um, Claude know, and Bing also know how to make sure that it knows the amount of hours that I used for staff meetings. So now let's see. Okay, so again, I get, ChatGPT because I used custom instructions, and I have a tutorial on how to use custom instructions, by the way, if you want to do that. But it gave me one filled with a lot of personality, gave me one amount. This one says that my invoice is 1,912. Okay, Bard, that's interesting. I feel like I should just pick the higher number. I got Claude gave me $1,812. And then let's see what Bing had to say. Again, Bing doesn't work unless you're watching it. um, Always just heard that Miles Davis didn't like to eat unless someone was watching him eat. I thought that was always very interesting. Okay, $1,575. Oh, wow. Okay, this is very interesting. There's no even consensus here. And Bing, of course, references, the web a lot. So that's partially maybe why, Bing's not my favorite search engine. So it's using search that's not super great. So our other use case was about travel. I said, you are assigned a persona and a task. You're a travel consultant for the American Automobile Association, tasked with providing me with an itinerary. I'm driving from Rhinebeck, New York to Atlanta, Georgia in a car that gets an average of 36 miles per gallon. How much money should I expect to pay in gas? And where do you suggest that I stay in order to rest for the night halfway through the trip? So again, we're giving it to Bart, we're giving it to ChatGPT, we're giving it to Claude, I mean, and we're using Bing. So let's see what ChatGPT gave me. A lot of personality. Said my gas is going to be $75. Gave me a little fun Highway Horizons. It just filled with so much personality. Um, so that's a very interesting number. It said 24 gallons at $3.15 per gallon. So I thought that was interesting. And it also said that Roanoke, Virginia is the best place to stop from where I am in the Catskill Mountains of New York to Atlanta, Georgia. So of course, gave me some emojis and suggested some places for me to stay. Okay, let's see what Bard has to say. So Bard says that my gas is going to be 3.25 per gallon, and that I can expect to pay $42. That's a very big difference. And uh, they gave me some, Google's Bard gave me some suggestions on, things to do, places to go, and it suggested that I stay in Greensboro, North Carolina. So that's very interesting. Um, ChatGPT wants me to stay in Virginia, um, and so let's see what Claude has to say. So Claude says it's going to be 24 gallons at $3.50 a gallon. So that's interesting. And then Claude suggested that I stay in Charlotte, North Carolina, and gave me some places to stay in Charlotte, North Carolina. Um, so that was interesting. And then Bing, of course, is really connected to the internet. So let's see what's going to happen here. Again, doesn't want to work unless you're watching it. It says $155 in gas, and it's got the miles much different. So I kind of got the feeling, and it says Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Why would I stay in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania? That's not on the way at all. So obviously, Bing has suggested that I take a very, very scenic route, and perhaps I should have been more specific and said, "Give me the direct route." Bing also has a bunch of different, well, websites for me to look at, places to stay, and let's see, and there's a map, but I don't need a map from where I'm starting out. And these are all hotels where I'm starting out, so that's really not very useful because I told it that I needed to stay there. So that was our comparison, which I think is very, very interesting, that we got very different information. So let this be a lesson to you to, always be on to double check everything that the AI is giving you right now. Now, I've done this in the past with the hours with my invoices, and I uploaded a spreadsheet into ChatGPT using ChatGPT's code interpreter. And using that spreadsheet, I did get an accurate number. So that's another kind of way to think about it. But just experiment with these different models yourself and see what you get, and then you're going to see which ones are better at different things, because some are better at writing, some are better at calculating and stuff like that. So thanks a lot for listening.